So you have a group PT school interview coming up. Woo! You've been preparing for a one-on-one, but a group setting? Oh my goodness, what do I do? I know you're thinking these things, and whether it's virtual or in person, in this video, I'm gonna go through some major rules for you to follow to make sure you don't break them and ruin your chances to get accepted into PT school. What's going on, everyone? My name is Dr. Justin Lee, physical therapist. I'm a PT school admission expert, and I help students get accepted into PT school. So I have 4 major rules in this video that I want to talk about that I think is worth looking into and listening to, because you're going to get some major tips and you're going to get some major brownie points to help you elevate your status as an applicant. So the first thing that I want to talk about, and I think what most students fear, is that, hey, if I get asked a question and this student A goes first and they share something that is very similar to what I was going to be asked, what do I do? Whew. Okay, so first off, let's just talk about the format. Let's take a back view of what's going on. So in these group interviews, what you should expect is that a proctor or the interviewer is going to ask the panel of students a question. And they're gonna say, okay, student A, B, C, D, or A, B, C, however many students there are, you're gonna go in order of just sharing your responses, right? So for example, they might ask you, why do you wanna be a PT? Then student A will share, student B will share, student C will share. And if you're student C, you're like, sweating in your boots because student A and B are sharing their thoughts, or sharing their responses. And if you're like, oh shoot, they took what I was gonna say, you might be thinking, oh man, that doesn't make me stand out. And you might have some of those self-doubts going through in your mind. So in that situation, this is exactly what I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you exactly what to do to help yourself acknowledge what's happening, but also spin it so that you can stand out as an applicant. So check this out. Let's give an example. Let's say an interviewer asks, what is your strength? Pretty common question, right? And you're the second person to answer, and the first person is answering and they say, my strength is that I am really focused. And as soon as they say that, you're like, oh my gosh, that is exactly what I was going to say. What am I gonna do? And as they're talking about how they're using their focus and how that has helped them in their academics. And now you're really sweating because you're like, that is the exact story and example that I was going to use. So what do you do at that point? Do you say the exact same thing? Do you think about something totally different and shoot yourself in the foot? What is the situation here? So this is how you're gonna do it. Check this out. First off, it is okay. Rule number 1, it is okay to say the same idea as what a previous student has mentioned. However, this is a big but, you need to add in something else and emphasize that part as a way to stand out. For example, same question. What is a strength of yours? Student A says a strength is that they are focused and that has helped them with their academics, and they share a story about that. Great, awesome answer. Now it's your turn to answer. Okay, I also found that my strength is that I am also focused, just like Charlene has mentioned over here, and it has helped me in my academics. But in addition to that, it has also helped me with so many other facets of life, my extracurriculars and my leadership to really emphasize. In my extracurriculars, I have really been able to dive in deep into the things that I'm involved with, whether that's sports and tutoring, etc., XYZ, and it has made me into a well-rounded person where I can really thrive in what I do. And same thing with my leadership skills. I'm really focused in being a leader and being present for other people around me so that I can lead them and influence them and impact them to make positive decisions. See what I did there? You acknowledge the fact that you're using the same idea, the focus, and even though you're going to use focus in academics, you now say, but, and then you add on to that, and then you talk about this. So now you're also acknowledging but then also emphasizing this to help you stand out. Now, this is the shadow side. What if you don't do that and you just say, oh yeah, that is exactly what I was gonna say. And, oh, actually, mine is focus too and academics. Now, there's always something memorable about the first time of something ever happening. So a student A, just because of the order, the receiver, the interviewer hears that, hey, that focus and academics is their strength. So they're gonna remember that because that was the first thing, that was the first time they ever heard that. Now the second person saying the same exact thing, they're not gonna remember you because they're gonna remember the first one. You see that? So that's why it's really important to do that. Now the second rule that I wanna talk about, and we talked about this previously, is acknowledging the other student. This is a big one. So if a student shares something, or even though you're a competitor, even though that you hear that response, you're like, dang, that was really good. Acknowledge that. When it's your turn, you can say, you know what, hey, when they ask you, hey, okay, so Justin, why don't you tell me about a strength? Well, first off, I just want to say, Charlene, that was a really good response. I just respect you a lot more from listening to that, because I thought that was really amazing in what you did to show your strength. Now, just like Charlene, focus is also a big strength of mine as well. And then you go into that response. Now, what this does, when you acknowledge somebody else and you show your respect, as an interviewer, and I'm observing that type of characteristic, I'm learning, dang, Justin is a respectable person. He respects his peers. And even though he's in this high stress situation where he's amongst his competitors, he still has the integrity of a genuine human being to acknowledge when something is said right. And that will earn you some brownie points. Woo-hoo! Hey, if you didn't catch that, you better take some notes. But if you did catch that, I would have really appreciated it if you gave this video a like. Okay, number 3. This is a big, big, big rule. And it might be pretty common to think about, but students don't do it. And I've definitely seen them kill their chances because they did something wrong. Rule number 3, do not disrespect or slander your competitor. Another student may say something that might offend you. They may say something that you don't agree with, but that doesn't mean that you straight out throw them under the bus in the interview. Hold your tongue, bite down on that tongue, and don't do that. Just respect that person, give them that space to be themselves. Don't say anything in the interview. Trust me, whether it's an in-person, online, do not do that. You will definitely kill your chances. Because that tells who's ever interviewing you, that tells me like, wow, you have no respect amongst your peers, your classmates. What are you gonna be like in the program if we accept you? Gone, you're out of here. Okay, rule number 4. Check this out, y'all. I know you're like in your mind about thinking, what am I gonna say next? But you also should be actively listening to what the other person is saying. I'm gonna say that one more time. You should be I know you're always thinking about what you're gonna say next, but you should be always actively listening to what the other person is saying. Because check this out, I've definitely heard students get asked, what did the other person just say? Or what do you think about person A and their response? And if you weren't listening, you're SOL with what you're gonna say because you can't make that up, right? And that's important because they are looking for, even though that you're under a high stress situation, are you able to listen to what the other person is saying? Just like as a physical therapist, you have all this information and there's a high stress situation, but are you still listening to what the patient is saying? That's a big one. And if you're not, then maybe you're not quite what they're looking for as far as a future clinician, as a doctor of physical therapist. So group interview, I hope this video was helpful for y'all. If you like this video, I do appreciate if you give it a like. Please let me know what was helpful in the comments below. Every day is a great day to lift weights, lift others, and lift yourself up. Lift for change.